Who are you sleeping with? Important question to ask. Whether you're single, you're married, or you're dating, what you're not aware of is that when you go to bed at night and you put your head on the pillow, you're actually sleeping with millions of dust mites. Millions of dust mites. And each one of those little dust mites is pooping something out all the time. And there's a little protein in that poop that we're all allergic to various degrees. And the reason I talk about this seems a little gross, but it's important if there's an easy solution to protect ourselves from that extra little undigested protein that these dust mites are putting out. Then suddenly when we sleep at night, our immune system is not having to fight it off all the time, not having to fight it off. And your sleep is deeper, more relaxing. Sometimes you wake up, your eyes are a little puffy, or you get a little mucusy, or you didn't sleep well through the night. Often that's because your immune system is having to fight off the effects of the little dust mites and what they're producing. So there's a product I discovered, and I'm sharing it with you, which is made by a company called Chrisal. It's called PIP Allergy Free. And PIP is a probiotic biomist. Now, you've all heard of probiotics. They're little microbes, and these are particular beneficial microbes that will actually eat up the food that those dust mites are eating on your pillow. What is the food that your dust mites are eating? Well, what happens is 90% of the dust in your house is actually dead skin that flakes off. Our body's always shedding skin, and it comes out as little dust around the house and so forth. That little dust is in the bed. That little dust is food for the mites. And so they're called dust mites. They eat that, and then they poop out, and they regenerate, and they grow, and so forth. Well, it turns out that you can just take this Chrisal spray and go like this, and you just put trillions of little microbes, little positive beneficial bacteria that will seek through your pillowcase onto your pillow. And to these little mites, they're so tiny, even the weaving of your pillow is like the Grand Canyon. And millions of them are coming down, and within minutes, they're eating up all the food that the dust mites would normally be eating. And when the dust mites don't have their food, then they can't overpopulate, and they go to sleep. And they sort of go into a state of remission. And they stop putting out this poop because they have no food. So this is an amazing phenomenon. And you go, okay, how do you know all this is true? Well, first of all, you can actually see these dust mites, and you can film these guys, these little bacteria. So they have videos that you can see this. It's pretty gross. That's A. But more importantly, a simple little test is you can take what's a little meter that measures what's called ATP production. It's energy. There's sort of it picks up how much energy is being produced by bacteria. So you can put it on a table, for example, and it will go, this much bacteria is on the table. Then you take an antibacterial spray or something, spray it, and then there'll be no energy being produced. That's because you just killed all the bacteria. But guess what? 10 minutes later, the energy is back. And what happened is that dead bacteria, you kill all the bacteria, that becomes food for new bacteria. And now you got more bacteria growing. The truth is, hospitals actually have more bacteria in them than anywhere because they use more antibacterial sprays and cleaners and so forth. So when you kill the bacteria, now you have food for new bacteria to settle into. That's why in hospitals, more people are dying from MRSA, which is all of these infections that people get by being exposed to so much bacteria. In hospitals where they spray with this stuff, MRSA almost disappears, which is quite amazing. More and more people are discovering this. But our home is not a hospital. What we have is our bed that we're sleeping in every night. So every 3 or 4 days, basically, just give a little spray like that. Just simple. There's millions of these little bacteria are going into the bed, and they eat up the food that the dust mites would normally be eating. This is great stuff. It also, if you think about your closet and your clothes, there's like an odor that can start to develop. All you have to do is spray in there. Just go over and I spray all my clothes, and any odors go away. Any odor in the closet goes away because these odors come from bacteria growing. And this goes in and it eats the food of bacteria, and smells go away. If you've got, in old folks' homes, for example, it's probably not the politically correct way of saying that, but in those homes, you go in and there's like this urine smell. Well, if you clean a little bit with this stuff, it will actually eat up the bacteria and the smell goes away. This is like amazing stuff. It doesn't cover up smells, it just gets to the root of it. In addition to this handy probiotic spray, you can also get the concentrate. And what the concentrate does, it's more economical and for bigger jobs. So at my ranch, sometimes I haven't been there for a while, it gets a little moldy. Also in the wintertime, mold can start to grow in the vents of the house. And for somebody who's very allergetic like I am, and the heater just kicks on, my allergies start up. But I found tremendous relief by spraying this into those heating ducts. So if you get where the return air goes in, you can spray this, but you might use a whole spray can and use up the whole can. Instead, for the bigger jobs, you can take the concentrate, you mix it with a gallon of water. It has the instructions, a few teaspoons to a gallon of water. Then you put it into a mister or a fogger. And so you got this spray, and you're spraying it all over the place. And I just went around, my first day I got it, I went and I sprayed it in my closet, I sprayed it in my bed, I sprayed it on the carpet, I sprayed it in the vents. And just all that sort of odor just goes away, whatever odor is there. It's not like it was tremendous odor, but there was this little odor in my closet, because that's where we put the dirty clothes. My wife doesn't have any odor at all. But my closet gets a little musty, you might say. And I just spray it in there. And another thing I do with once I got the big fogger is actually went through all my shirts. And if your shirts aren't dirty, but they just have a little bit of underarm odor on them, if you spray it, it goes away. I mean, it's quite amazing, because all these odors come from as little areas where bacteria are growing, and bacteria put out that odor. But if you go in and you spray in these probiotics, they eat the food of the bacteria, and then the bacteria doesn't continue to multiply and grow. If you've got odor in your shoes, for example, or what you do is you just spray it in your shoes. Odor is gone. I mean, it's quite amazing, because you're not covering it up, because often when you cover something up, you haven't gotten rid of the source of the odor. The source of the odor is all these bacteria that are growing, millions every minute. You know, they're just multiplying, and they put out this odor. This goes in and just cuts off their food supply, because you've got these beneficial microorganisms. And so here's the one I really like, which is I put into the mister. It's a sprayer. You know, you can get these other things, which are like, some people use these misters for spraying their clothes as kind of like dry cleaning at home. That's a very inexpensive one. You can go to Home Depot and get a fogger, and you mix it with the water, you put it in there. You have these things which at Halloween produce fog, but instead of putting the mixture of dry ice in it, you put a mixture of water in this, and it will fog it out there. So you just create a fogger, and it goes around, it just removes mold, bacteria, and these are all allergens, so it makes the air fresher and easier to breathe. And for some people, they're going to notice it more than others, but for everyone, you notice that the odors are gone. So this is two very amazing new products that people can become aware of, as these probiotic sprays. This is Chrisal PIP Probiotic Mist, and then this is the spray can where you can just spray like that. And you know, if you spray your hand, what I do if somebody's got a cold in the house and they're working on the keyboard on the computer, just go like this over the keyboard. Done. All bacteria from the cold are gone for at least 8 hours before anything can grow again. So you just get a little spray. If somebody's got a cold in my house and they've got the remote control for the TV, just give a little spray like that. And there's no way bacteria is going to be transmitted. This is an amazing little extra device for people to make sure there's less germs around them than there are naturally.